How's it going? This is Shane Thomas, ready to show you another country classic on acoustic guitar. This time, this video, we are going to learn Why Don't You Love Me Like You Used to Do by Hank Williams Sr. #1 hit for Hank Williams way back in 1950, and it's a country classic that's been covered by numerous artists like most Hank Williams songs have been because they're great songs. But we're talking Tom Jones, George Jones did this song. Red Hot Chili Peppers even did this song. Mo Bandy, Hank Jr., his son, did this song. So there's just so many artists that did this song, and for good reason. It's a fun song to play. It's a witty song, simple lyrics. 3 chords is all we need to learn for this song. And I can't wait to show you how to play this song. So, Shane T's got a sweet tea ready. You grab the beverage of your choice. If you're not thirsty, at least grab your guitar, and let's get ready to learn how to play Why Don't You Love Me Like You Used to Do on acoustic guitar. So let's learn the chords and strumming pattern to Why Don't You Love Me Like You Used to Do. We just have 3 chords. It's in the key of G. Those chords are G major, C major, and D major. And we're going to use them in different orders throughout the song, but for the most part, the chord sequence is pretty much the same throughout the entire song. So those chords are what you need to learn. As you see them on your screen here, those are the chord diagrams. Now, if you already know those chords, you can go ahead and skip ahead. I'll put some timestamps in this video so you can skip ahead to where we actually strum along and start playing along with the song. Now, if you're just learning the guitar, check out the links in the description below because I'll provide a tutorial on how to play each one of these guitar chords. All right, so those are your chords, G, D major, and C. Now, strumming pattern. I just like these downstrokes. Boom, boom. Just downstrokes. And that's it. So if you got the G major chord, the D major chord, and the C major chord and those downstrokes, then you're gonna know pretty much the entire song. All right, so let's put it all together. Let's put the lyrics to it. Let's know where we make those chord changes, and let's learn Why Don't You Love Me Like You Used to Do by Hank Williams Sr. All right, now that we know the chords in the strumming pattern, let's put it all together. You're going to see the lyrics and the chord shapes where to make the chord changes as we play along with this video. We start off with a brief intro. We'll have G, D, G, and the fiddle's doing the lead part, so it's like dun 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 dun. Okay, so G, D, G is your intro chords. Now I guess you could get away with just playing the G the whole time, but I like to switch it up from G to D back to G. Make sure you get this strumming pattern down, those downstrokes. We're going to start with verse 1 after the intro. You ready? Well, why don't you love me like you used to do? How come you treat me like a worn-out shoe? D. My hair's still curly and my eyes are still blue. Down to C, back up to G. Why don't you love me like you used to do? G. Ain't had no loving, so C major, like a hugging and a kissing in a long, long while. G. Moan it out, people, moan it out, Hank. We don't get nearer or further or closer than a country mile. G. Back up to G. Why don't you spark me like you used to do? Say sweet nothings like you used to coo. But down to G. I'm the same old trouble that you always been through. C. Back up to G. So why don't you love me like you used to do? Good job. Now we go into some various solos. You got the steel guitar, and you just keep playing the normal pattern. G for the most part, D, G, C. Now I'm speeding it up for the sake of time, but you got a steel guitar part solo, then you got a fiddle solo, then you got another steel guitar section, and then you go into verse 3, which we're getting ready to play. But if you're playing along with the song, you just play the normal chords, G, D, G, C, G, D, back to G, through those instrumental sections. But let's go right in after those instrumental solo sections by the steel guitar and the fiddle. Let's go into the third verse. So after that series of solos, you just come right in with this verse 3. Well, why don't you be just like you used to be? How come you find so many faults with me? D, somebody's changed, so let me give you a clue. I love that, man. C, up to G. Why don't you love me like you used to do? Go back down to C. Ain't had no loving like a hugging and a kissing in a long, long while. Don't get nearer, further, or closer than a country mile. D, good job. Why don't you say the things you used to say? What makes you treat me like a piece of clay? D, my hair's still curly and my eyes are still blue. Why don't you love me like you used to do? Bum, 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 ba, da, 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 da. So the outro section is pretty much just like the intro section. You're playing the G, D, G, and that fiddle. Dun 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 dun. Boom, 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 boom. And that's the end of the song. And that's how you play Why Don't You Love Me Like You Used to Do by Hank Williams. This song's so much fun to play, simple song. Just learn your G chord, C chord, and your D chord. That's all the chords you're gonna need for this song. Think of the song like bookends. What I mean by bookends, the intro part with the fiddle is the same, pretty much the same as the outro part with the fiddle. All you're gonna do is play the G chord and the D chord, back up to G in those sections, the intro and outro. Well, in between those book chords, or bookends, you have the following chord sequence. G down to D, back up to G, down to C, let's go back up to G, let's go back down to D, and let's come back up to G major one more time. That little cycle is pretty much your verses. And after you do a couple verses, you have the steel guitar solo followed by the fiddle solo, followed by another steel guitar solo, but you're just playing the same chords, G, D, and C, kind of like that sequence we were talking about in the verses. And then after your third verse, you got that outro section, which again is like a bookend, just like you played in the intro. That's how you play Why Don't You Love Me Like You Used to Do. If you like this video, hit that like button. I appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, so you can get all the latest acoustic guitar tutorial videos and tips, such as this one, so you can keep these wonderful songs alive for generations to come. You know what I want y'all to do? I want y'all to keep strumming and a humming and a loving for a long, long while. Woo-hoo. I'm Shane Thomas. Y'all take care. Country Mile.